I mean, PvT, she showed us, can be pretty disgusting based on the last couple of games that we saw of her. Let's see what she goes for again. To the bottom right-hand side, it's our Pink Protoss player from Team Expert. Give it up for Scarlett. Playing against the Red Terran to the top left-hand side, it is Hades. Alright then guys, how we think, what we thinking, how we feeling? How are you all doing? I am intrigued to see what Scarlett comes up with here. We saw a few and cheeky builds from her, I would say, in the first series that she played today. So let's see what she comes up with this time around. Is it going to be seeing the gateway being thrown down in the main base already? The assimilator is on the way up, about 75% of the way done. Hades definitely a tougher opponent than Control was, but she didn't really make she didn't really spend much time on Control. She got through Control pretty fast indeed, so yeah, we'll see how this turns out in a couple of minutes. Let's see what's going to happen. Gateway is on the way down then, and she is actually going to expand, so a little bit more respect perhaps for Hades than for Control earlier. Actually going to give him the benefit of the doubt and going to expand here in these early stages. Setting up and seeing where this could go. We've seen a SCV coming down the left side as well, just having a little bit of a scout around, a little bit of a scoot to see what's up, see what's happening. So we're coming back up the left as this Marine of Hades just moving out onto the map, moving into the center and seeing what it can do. So Marine just poking up this top side, and we're going to be seeing in the meantime, well, really not too much going down. It is a one base play from Hades. Double gas opening rather than an expansion early. And it is going to be Widowmine focused to begin with. So Widowmine to start here may just be because he doesn't have the gas to build anything else, so may as well build that mine. See what he follows up with. Probably a Cyclone. No reactor or anything, by the way, so really is just keen on getting units out ASAP rather than building into that reactor. And obviously if you build into the reactor, you know, eventually your units start coming out faster, but until then, they are slowed down a little bit with the reactor build time taking up a lot of your barracks time. So that's obviously something which is a bit of a deal. Cyclone on the way. There is the medevac indeed, and the Widowmine. So far is going to push forwards, waiting for Scarlett to maybe poke forwards herself with one of her units, but not really going to happen as we see a robot facility on the way up. Scarlett playing this blind, not scouting her opponent in these early stages right now. As we do see now, two Stalkers starting to move up through the center, and one Stalker over to the left-hand side of the map here. So Scarlett spreading up a little bit, as we can see now this Cyclone coming in from the upper left and starting to move across towards the bottom right-hand side. One Stalker will sit on the watchtower, and obviously we'll see this Widowmine, well, not the Widowmine, the Cyclone and the medevac coming. So we'll know what's happening here, and the Stalker a little bit slow to move away. Took actually quite a while, but gets going eventually. Marines will drop on top of it though, and I think we'll just not get the kill. I think going to be a couple of shots away from death. Wow, it does just go down. I thought it was going to be a just kind of get away as the last Marine dropped or something, but not quite. And as we're going to be seeing, well, here's this push. No shield battery yet, so Scarlett is missing out on a way to defend as we see those Stalkers continue to pull backwards, and we're seeing a couple more Marines getting picked away out. Widowmine gets just a single shot. That's not really a threat right now, and obviously can be dealt with rather easily. Immortal coming up, and we'll be ready in a moment. One Stalker to deal with the Widowmine before it comes off cooldown. Two Stalkers into the main. Shield battery is on the natural though, not in the main, so that doesn't help. Oh, no way, that Cyclone is on like 1 HP. Like 1 HP. Can't believe it. Okay, well, Cyclone just gets away there. You gotta remember, Hades did this off of one base, so the expansion was delayed, and despite looking as though he did kind of okay here, he's actually down 13 workers because the expansion came in so late. If this was a build where he did this much damage off of just kind of having expanded, and this was just like a follow-up pressure, well, I think that's a very different scenario, in fact. I think then this actually went okay, this was fine, he did enough, and you should be fairly happy with it, but right now, not so sure. So we've seen a Cyclone here does actually pick off the Observer with the help of the Raven. A nice little combination here early on. Intrigued to see what the Raven gets used for, actually. Obviously, with the Interference Matrix, there's a lot of possibilities that are not really kind of... figured out just yet, I guess. Repair Drone 2, he is actually going to play mech, so this is actually what we said earlier. The fact that Hades is someone that likes playing mech, and, well, we're hearing rumblings that mech is somewhat viable against Protoss right now, so interested to see how this goes. Double factory is starting to be built. Obviously, then the Raven makes a bit more sense, because obviously you can repair drone. I wonder how much the Scrambler missile might do, and I wonder what he used the Interference Matrix on. Could use it on, like, a Warp Prism or something? Could be cool. Viking and a Raven just on the top side are patrolling away. There's that blink upgrade coming through here from Scarlett, just starting up in the production tab, as we see Stalkers, Sentries and an Immortal gathering up the right hand side. The two Cyclones and the Medevac will move over to the right here. Again, an interesting setup. I'm not sure how this plays out really. I haven't seen mech on the new patch, so generally, Protoss gains a lot once they get up to Sky Toss against mech. Until then, Scott's looking to play kind of Colossi. Probably wants to go into a Model Archon. The Colossi can be really nice for kind of cleaning up the forward Hellbats. But as soon as those Hellbats, you know, they're good, but I would say that generally a Mortal Archon charge slot is going to be very successful as well, especially once those Hellbats are gone and you can charge and connect right on top of those siege tanks, etc. That becomes very powerful. Blink is about halfway done. +1 upgrades on attack and armor coming through right here. And again, Blink just over halfway done. Is a pretty nice little something right now. I mean, the Blink will help as well, especially against Liberator counts if they start to increase. It can also be used to kind of counter-attack around the mech army. Something which is always going to be very powerful against mech, no matter what race is being played. That's something which Scarlett might look towards here as well. Isn't that funny? I didn't realize that. I just saw a glimpse of it on the production tab, but when observers go into their new observer mode to give extra vision, they actually show up on the production tab for a moment. Not sure if that's really intentional, because it's so fast that I don't even think it's necessary to have on the production tab at all. Kind of interesting. Anyways, we do see pushing down through the center, Marines, Hellbats and tanks. The Raven here to help out as well. Intrigued still to see what exactly the Raven will do. Potentially, I think the repair drone with this mech army is where the majority of the use is going to be. Stalker's starting to fight this. Tanks do siege up. Scarlett playing patiently, backing away. 1-1 upgrades are not far off. Also, first couple of Immortals are going to be popping out here in a moment or so. Scarlett playing this very patiently indeed. A little bit of a supply block though, and that's going to hurt in terms of getting the next sort of set of units to come forward. Oh no, Sentries are going to wander in towards those tanks momentarily. Now we currently have a few units attacking this natural. 7 probes going down. Gives Scarlett some supply. Actually, she did have pylons finishing up. You're going to see Stalkers and an Immortal here defending for now. And here we go. She's going to blink on top of these tanks saying, well, you know what? If all your units are moving forwards towards my natural, well, these tanks are fairly exposed. Guardian Shield is very late to pop up here. It feels as though Scarlett has pretty much cleaned it out. Oh, nice Interference Matrix on the Immortals. That's actually really cute. She goes a long way to helping out as the final blink, though, will get rid of that Viking. 16 probes were killed, but Scarlett's cleaned up the army, and now she's pushing across the map. See what she can do next. Hades has only just established the 3rd base. Hasn't had that up as Scarlett now with her 4th base already finished. That's something to, well, keep in mind here. The fact she's already a base up by quite a margin. So that definitely is helping Scarlett, and something which Hades has to look at to try and fix in some ways. You're going to see one Stalker gets blown up rather quickly indeed. A couple of probes going down once again to some harassment, but Stalker's on top of it for the most part. Raven has no energy to do anything too spectacular just yet. Sense Tower coming up. I think Scarlett has to back away. No Warp Prism here, can't reinforce the army. She has a lot of gas in the bank, which would be fantastic if she could spend it. Wouldn't be bad to, I don't think it would be bad at all to just spend it on, like, we'll get Temple Archives and just spam up some Archons. Archons are so good against mech, they're so tanky. Next, a little bit of splash damage can work wonders. Only problem is they have quite that short kind of attack range. So you do have to get up close and personal, but that's where the kind of Zealots come in to kind of tank, etc. initially. And if she goes back into more Colossi at any point, she's got 1 up right now. If she could go back into 2 or 3, still feel 3 or 4 Colossi, not a bad thing to have to, again, just AoE down essentially the first row of Hellbats a couple of times over. You can go a long way as we do see Hellions coming through the top side. You can see what's happening. This Observer just set up here as well, and it's going to be seeing the Immortal Zard Stalkers, Colossus coming up the right too. You're going to see these probes in a little bit of trouble. Nice run by Hades, some damage here, which will go quite nicely as you're going to see Stalkers pushing in, and we'll clean up 1, 2 Hellions so far. Third Hellion going down, and a fourth Hellion also. 10 workers killed here. Also going to be seeing a shield battery just getting set up to help with these sort of attacks in the future. Scarlett pulling back down the right, seeing, well, what is next? What is my next stage? You know, what's my next movement here? Do I push across? Do I get aggressive into a mech player, or do I wait for him to attack me? You know, I'm ahead in economy, I'm ahead of base. Do I wait? I mean, you can look at it both ways. Being on the map alone could be a nice little presence, could start to make the mech player move around. Maybe you find an opening. At the same time, you are getting further and further ahead right now as the Protoss player, and well, obviously that's something which is worth keeping in mind here. Could be worth just waiting around. Four Hellions to the top side, seeing what they can do. A couple of libs have sieged up, and now we're going to be seeing the Hellbat tank army moving around as well. We'll Prism Warps in a couple more. High Templar. I think if the Liberators here, it's a little bit too difficult to really engage into this position. Don't think you can just run up that ramp. And well, the mech army is starting to move out as well. It's coming down the left side. Scarlett's map control very nice though. Plenty of those observers set up around. Watchtowers all held. She's going to find this Liberator at the cost of what? A shot onto her Stalker. She'll be fine with that. And actually at the same time, the fight continuing. 2 repair drones dropped. Did target down the Raven. So at least the Raven got the repair drones off. And those repair drones starting to heal up a couple of those Hellbats here so far. Meanwhile, War Prism into the main. This is what we're talking about. Attacking around the Terran player. Not always fighting the straight up fights. Just harassing him to keep the Terran player busy. As we're going to see Scarlett spread now. Is looking for fight forwards here. Oh, those tanks have just sieged up. And I think Scarlett just thinking twice about it as those tanks siege. Not going to mess around. As do you see coming up top side. Stalkers, Immortals, and the Claw side. They find themselves 1 Hellion, not quite a second. We'll blink through these Liberators. I mean, this is nice, right? Because now you're just attacking around the main army. Sort of the same idea as before, attacking around the Terran player rather than into him. At the same time, some units were left over here. I was thinking Scarlett's army looks a little small. She is able to push back away this 4th base. So far, Hades struggling to take a 4th base in this game. Tempest on the way up now. The late game Skytoss build coming up from Scarlett. We talked about it. We said, hey, you know, one of the big things that mech will struggle to deal with here will be the Skytoss. And that's what Scarlett now is able to start getting herself into. She's put herself ahead or into a comfortable enough position to build into multiple Stargates. And she feels she has time to get up enough Skytoss units to make this transition worthwhile. An observer here sees those Hellions pushing through the top side. Some Hellions morphing into Hellbats in the center. Scarlett's army should be close enough to shut these down though. So a couple of Zealots will fall. Well, okay, I thought a couple of Zealots were going to fall. Turns out they didn't. Stalker's already up here again to find those Hellions and finds 1 with the blink. The main thing is they're not being allowed near the mineral lines. I say as they find this mineral line wide open. Okay, so they find their way into the mineral line, but they are going to be blocked off from escaping. So 7 workers for 8-ish Hellions. It's never great to lose workers as the Protoss player, but to kill 8 Hellions, I mean, it's 800 minerals down the drain, right? And I know mech is a bit of a, you know, it is the mineral jump. They don't need to do a lot, but they could have done a lot more, I think. You know, if they hit this base, then run to this base, would have been a lot worse. So Scarlett shuts it down fairly nicely. And again, Void Rays continue to come on up here. What is the game plan of Hades? Where does he go as Scarlett maxes out on this composition now? +1 shields, +1 flyer attacks, finishing as well. Moving through the center, some Hellions going to be looking around to try and do a bit more. Stalker will be protected by another Stalker or so blinking forwards. The Rain army coming forwards once again here. Scarlett wants to attack in, wants to look for a way to utilize the fact that she's maxed out with a bank to spend. That's one thing as well in this fight. If Scarlett has a Warp Prism behind the army, she can just flood in Zealots or Stalkers, whatever she feels she needs, basically mid-fight. Because as soon as she loses the first few units, that's when her supply is open enough to warp in. So Warp Prism behind this army would definitely not go amiss. She has Warp Prism to the left side. I wouldn't say that's exactly where she wants it to be, as we will see a Hallucinated Phoenix. That will be a blink up in towards the main base. And that will be Scarlett starting to do some damage once again. The front, she can't attack in. Too many tanks sieged up towards the fourth. So you're going to see a missile turret going down. This factory or two. You know, Star getting picked off as well. This is nice, actually killing factories here. It's a huge deal. It's production for the Pro Terran player, which is just starting to fall. I mean, there's only 5 factories in the game. Now there's 3. Obviously, that's some big pickoffs here. As we're going to see Hellbats being picked off one at a time. A Hellion too. These Stalkers are finding some insane value right away and going to get themselves a Cyclone or a Siege Tank on the way out. Again, Scarlett cannot be upset with this as she blinks down in towards the natural. Wants to keep these units just running around. Battle Cruisers on the way, meanwhile, from the Terran player. We are getting into Sky Toss against Sky Terran late game. I don't really know what to make of this as we see more Void Rays being produced. Scarlett obviously not feeling as though those Stalkers are going to be much use to her at this stage, and so that's why she didn't blink them out and keep them alive. She wanted to take them down. She wanted them to fall. She will recall with the mothership into the main with the army. Oh, wow. Didn't even think about that one coming. Obviously, that's one thing you can do now. So she recalls into the main. And you know what's so disgusting about this, guys? She can recall out of here with the Nexus if she feels she gets the opportunity. So mothership will fall. She hides up to the top side. She'll kill a little bit more here. And Scarlett putting herself in such a deadly position. Killing armories now. Upgrades are going down. She's actually going to kill a couple of these. She might even kill this orbital still. These Void Rays have... what the hell's the Void Ray ability called? I'm completely blanking. Anyways, she is here. She will not recall out. She takes some free damage in the process. I think she stuck around a little bit too long. I feel as though she could have recalled a little bit sooner, but she still found some insane value with this. She's maxed out once again, and more Void Rays on the way up once more. What the hell is the Void Ray ability called? Why can't I remember the name of the Void Ray ability? If I remember, I'm going to feel like an absolute idiot as we see these Stalkers blinking in. It's going to be a CC down to this south side. Prismatic Alignment. God damn it, there it is. Really could not remember the Void Ray name for a moment. Prismatic Alignment. I just completely blanked. For some reason I was thinking Psionic, and I knew it wasn't Psionic. Anyways, Scarlett pulling away. This is the dangerous part here. She has to actually take a fight against the mech army. BC's just teleported to the front line to help with the fight. It means they can't teleport away though. Some more High Templar being added in as well. No Storm here. This is just about the Archons. And Scarlett backs away once more. Still playing this slow and safe. Waiting for extra units. Why attack now if you can wait a couple extra seconds and have just 3 extra Archons in the fight, right? Here you go, Yamato Cannon's going to start being used, but I think the issue might be the Void Rays, and the Yamato Cannons were not used on the Void Rays at all. The ground army of the Protoss is definitely disappearing very quickly, but those Void Rays are untouchable, and it's the Terran player who's going to lose out on the majority of units here. Well, the last few tanks on the high ground will probably clean up. Some DTs coming in now too, as we're going to see these Void Rays are going to be pushing this back. Complete cleanup by Scarlett, who still has so much money in the bank. These Vikings are kiting, but there goes one Viking. And now we just need a few Stalkers to shut those Vikings down. GG will say Hades. Scarlett will take game number 1 in 19 minutes. She goes up by 1. Jumping into game 2 of Scarlett and Hades. And Scarlett is going to go back to the 1 base play as we kick this off to the top left side. Our pink Protoss player and team expert is Scarlett. She's against the red Terran to the lower right hand side of the map. It's Hades. Going to be the proxy Stargate here, I imagine, as we saw earlier. The Void Ray all-in is what she went for. We'll see what Hades' response will be as we set up into game number 2. Hades scouts no expansion. We'll now move back up there to maybe check the main base and to actually engineering bay block. Well, that's nice because it gives them the idea or the information that it will be a committed all-in until that engineering bay is gone. But problem with that there is, fam, is that yeah, it's kind of difficult to well, it's just not going to help because Scarlett's just going to one base all in anyways. We saw this from her earlier. It's the kind of Stargate coming up, and again she'll look to build shield batteries on the low ground, and honestly it looked pretty broken when we saw this Void Ray just destroying a bunker and just stoking marine damage for free because of the shield batteries. It looked pretty freaking good before, so we'll see what happens this time. As you're going to see, well, Reaper does not find the probe, and that's absolutely huge here. Not finding the probe. Another probe is even coming across the map. Scarlett knowing how important it is to have a probe over here. Reaper doesn't find this just yet and still hasn't. Looking in all the wrong places. The Void Ray is on the way up. A missile turret in the mineral line is not immediately going to help either. And that's part of the problem right now as the first pylon comes in. Double pylon, so she can't lose it. One probe is going to be found over here. Well, that means the other probe. Did she just lose the other probe? No, it's there. It's hidden behind the pylon. Stalker, anyway, is going to find that Reaper. Another Stalker coming across. Well, the probe's so important because, again, it's going to be what builds the shield batteries here. And those shield batteries are going to be a big part of this attack. Another Void Ray starts. No shield batteries yet. Scarlett will be getting the Void Ray across here to start poking and prodding in a moment. And Adept coming out will be able to defend against the Reaper as well. So that's going to look quite nice. And there we go. The first shield batteries coming through. Cyclone can probably lock onto the Void Ray here if it wants to. Going to just instead focus on the left side depot. Siege tank on the way up. Obviously a good way to defend on the ground, but it will not do a lot to defend in the skies. And that's one of the issues here as Void Ray comes back in. Cyclone on cooldown. The depots will fall. And if the depot's down, obviously the barracks becomes one of the next targets. There's the shield battery coming in play already. The Void Ray back up to full shields. And the Stalkers poking their way through this barracks. SCVs come in to repair. Stalkers will push up the ramp. Obviously if the Stalkers get down, she can pull it back down to the shield battery again. Exactly like that. Well, Siege Tank has sieged, as this production is getting pushed further back. Now, having to push further forwards here will mean she will be starting to fight out of range of the shield batteries as she warps into the front here. Starts to fight the missile turret, but look at the shield battery. Ooh, it does keep the Void Ray alive in the end. Missile turret fell. Another Void Ray on the way. No missile turret coming up as well right now, as we're going to be seeing the Void Rays still just working their way through this factory. I just can't believe how good these shield batteries are, man. They're insane. They do so much. Oh, this time the Void Ray might take some real damage, but nope. Back to the shield batteries. It's kind of funny. Bless me. Oh my god, sneezing fit. Third Void Ray joins the fray. The Widowmine is a little bit of an issue. This is what I was talking about earlier, though. Like, now, you know, you used to have to get an Oracle. Now you could probably just sacrifice the Stalker. And then you're going to be able to just kill it with the Void Rays or whatever afterwards, right? Probe going to go back home. Another Void Ray joins the front. He's just holding on for now, this Cyclone. Ooh. Just a little bit there. Getting back to the shield batteries. Oh my god, this is so ridiculous. Void Rays will, this time again, Widowmine's gone off, so now it just goes down. Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. That's why it's not as useful as it used to be. Missile turret goes down. This time does lose a Void Ray. If only just. New tech lab on the factory here is going to be seeing bits and pieces picked off. The Cyclone goes low very quickly. Marine get taken down. Cyclone's still locked on here. This Void Ray refusing to back away just yet. The Marine on the low ground for some reason is taken down now as well. Shield battery's getting low on energy, so can't keep doing this forever. And the missile turrets continue to kind of hold a bit of a further back position. Expands on the low ground here because of the engineering bay on the natural, of course. Still blocking and still denying the expansion of Skull coming up in the normal location. See, here's my next issue. How do you break out of this as Hades? I guess you push, because you can't push forwards with the tank, because then the Void Rays kill it. And usually the tank would be the perfect way to push forwards, but in this scenario, I'm not sure if it is. Void Rays prismatically align here to help out. Stalkers will help against the fight on the Marines. A lot of Marines go down there. Factory's still alive. 2 more shield batteries. Scarlett just saying, yeah, if I have a lot of shield batteries, there's no way you'll ever break this position, I think, which is very true. Very, very true, as you're going to see. Well, Bunker is going to take some damage this time. Doesn't quite go down just yet. Getting repaired right here until the very end. Does survive. Shield battery's out of energy for now. Missile turrets again just towards the front, as we're going to be seeing extra shield batteries just finishing up and, well, shielding up those Void Rays. I mean, why not build new shield batteries? They start at full energy. It's pretty sick. Rather than having to wait for the old ones to regen. It's only 70. It's only 75 energy, sorry, 75 minerals, right? You can see these voids up top gonna come in, and if a Widowmine is in position there. I'm glad there was only one siege tank built. One siege tank is enough just to stop the, the ground army from pushing up the ramp. Any more would be really ineffective, you know. If you had more than one tank, you're just going to be making units which just don't help against the main issue, which is the Void Rays. Meanwhile, in Dead works this way through the engineering base. Scarlett is on 2 bases, 33 to 27 workers. Hades isn't out of this yet, but he's starting to mine out the main a little bit, which means he's running out of, he's going to have less patches. Less patches means less income, and then he's going to get into, well, a tougher and tougher position. Barracks will land here. Tech Lab will start up a stim pack. Nice shot from the Vikings will waste a little bit of the shield battery energy there. I say as 5 shield batteries recover an energy every second. Stalkers, you obviously want to try and fight the Vikings. Nice positioning from Scarlett, not going too far forwards or anything. What's that? Hallucinated Phoenix just trying to get some information. Thing is, Scarlett's set up at home. She's going into Twilight Council now, probably in towards Blink or so, because she has been building into Stalkers, and of course, the Stalkers going to be useful as well to, well, the Stalkers are on the map, so may as well get Blink to make them even more useful. And we have a few moments here waiting to see how Hades will try and break out of this. I mean, at some point he just has to go. Maybe he just tries to go with some medevacs to drop out and then come in from 2 angles. It's going to be difficult. Alright, Siege Tank sets up at the front. Now this is interesting. Now the Void Rays can maybe just target down that Siege Tank because it's so far forwards. Oh, the Widow Mine goes off, but the shields get regened instantly. And here we go. Now prismatic alignment, so the tank goes down. And that's all Scarlett was worried about. Shield batteries heal up once again instantly. Crazy stuff. Just as you have a moment here, thank you so much, A-Move, with the 11-month resub. Glad to see you back after BlizzCon and Home Story Cup. Well, thank you so much for the 11 months of resubscribing. Really do appreciate it. It's not normal, says Hades. It is for Protoss, says Scarlett. Oh man, well, a bunker gonna get salvaged here. I don't really know where again, I just don't know where Hades goes from here. As we see Scarlett just getting further and further ahead. She actually went straight into charge off the Twilight. Obviously just opens up the mid-game army as he shuts up into a 3rd base. As the Terran here is just still sat on 1. I mean, there are the medevacs gonna drop off down to the side, or Hades gonna go across the map? He is just gonna drop to the side and try and fight here. Widowmine gets a kill, but gets taken down instantly after, and again, that's the issue of Widowmines. They just go down even without detection now. Here we go, SCV is going to pull down the ramp. The Void Rays are going to be a part of this as they, well, Scarlett's actually just going to back away from her shield batteries even. Just going to recall home from the Nexus. Gets out there, loses the Stalker and the Sentry. Will lose the shield batteries and the pounds on the low ground, but man, they have been so effective. Obviously, Hades had the CC from earlier in the game. Will lift that up and move it down now. He has a lot of energy to spend on mules here right away, based on the fact that he's obviously not being mule in his main base as it mines out already. This was the moment he had to break out, and I mean, this is the issue. Scarlett now back at home. His charge upgrades coming through. Blink now on the way as well. Scarlett will set up a shield battery on the, what was the initial natural expansion, but we'll just call it the 3rd base for simplicity's sake. Shield battery coming up here on the 3rd to help Scarlett defend, and so far Hades doesn't find a way to really attack. Pulling back down towards the bottom right side, we're going to be seeing, well, Hades does have +1 attack on the way, combat shields too. Ghost Academy starts up. His way to try and fight this will be Ghosts apparently. Well, Archon's getting morphed in. Again, I mean, you look at this for Hades and I really just think it's one of those situations where it's such a tough fight. It's possible though, 60 to 76 army supplies, not unheard of. Let's see what's going to happen as we're going to be seeing the Marines going to work their way through the rocks right now. Rocks will get taken down. So opening up positions, I mean this position will be high ground on the 3rd. It's a good one to be able to fight in. One thing interesting as well is that the Void Rays are just so, well, kind of a unit which just aren't really that great as the game goes on against. As the game goes on, they're not as great against kind of bio armies, so that's kind of interesting. Maybe it means that Scarlett, I mean maybe this many is going to be enough though. Nice blink on the Stalker, sets off the Widow Mine and now can continue to move forwards. So many units here from Scarlett right now is Team Medivac's going to load up and go to the left side. A drop attempt from Hades. Probably will just lift up the main base, move that to the third base whenever he wants it here. No real point in building a third command center. I mean, his main base is basically mined out apart from gas, so definitely the right call there. As the fourth base being set up by Scarlett. Starting to build this right now. The main army getting ready to roll. Will there be anything to stop Scarlett here? She could probably leave the charge with the Void Rays and get rid of a tank or two right from the get-go. Well, let's see. Here he goes. Zaltz will start charging forward. Stalkers will blink. The Ghosts do not find the EMPs they're looking for. And as the one or two EMPs goes down, it's just not going to be enough. And Hades loses out on absolutely everything here. These Marines drop. The Viking goes down. Trash game, says Hades. GG. Scarlett takes game number 2 and will advance through to the finals.